Hi, I'm Greg Weaver with consulting firm Brown, Gepner, Jones & Weaver. We are here today to examine the collapse of the Eastman Kodak Company, one of the great American brands of the 20th century. We will diagnose the problems that led to the film and camera company's bankruptcy in 2012 and offer solutions and actions that we believe could have prevented the collapse. For the purpose of this presentation, our examination of the company and recommended solutions will apply to the time period around 1990, but we will use other pertinent events after that time to help illustrate our points. First, let's take a look at our SWOT analysis that served as a basis for our findings. As you can see, the company had many strengths in 1990, a strong financial position, a highly valued brand, and domination of the film photography market. But weaknesses, such as a closed culture and a slow approach to innovation, left it unable to respond to the threats and opportunities presented by the rise of digital photography. According to our diagnosis, the company's problems included a closed-minded corporate culture that caused it to cling to its legacy film product even when its own projections showed that the market for it would crash. That closed culture caused it to move too slowly to respond to disruptive technology and innovate quickly. It took the company 18 years after it developed the digital camera to actually bring one to market. Once it entered the digital camera market, Kodak failed to distinguish its products from others. While Kodak went through the motions, Nikon, Sony, and Canon grew market share by adding new features like red eye fixes and face-detecting focus. The company failed to bring in leadership and expertise needed to move successfully into related business lines, such as the ill-fated effort to make the most of its chemical processing expertise. Kodak also lost touch with the changing tastes of customers, who no longer wanted picture prints but longed for ways to share images digitally. The company's tight, vertically integrated corporate structure greatly restricted it from initiating startups outside the company to freely develop innovative products and services. Ultimately, the company's closed corporate culture and its failure to innovate were its biggest plagues, problems that made it impossible for it to address its many other issues. The biggest example of both of these problems was the executive response to a Kodak engineer's development of the first digital camera in 1975. "That's cute," the executive said, "but don't tell anyone about it." Essentially, they were saying don't do anything that could disrupt the film photography market or our position in it. Eventually, the disruption would come anyway. Altering the course of a company that averse to innovation obviously will take a lot of work. But here's my colleague Elizabeth Gepner to offer some solutions.
Thanks, Greg. First, let's take a look at one of Kodak's largest competitors in film and how they are still in business today. What did Fujifilm do differently that has allowed them to remain successful? Fujifilm took risks to adapt its core competencies, which successfully diversified the organization. Fujifilm also formed joint ventures due to the change in the film market, such as their joint venture with Xerox. Lastly, Fujifilm was able to be big and act small with its organizational agility and differentiated business structure. Now, let's discuss solutions for Kodak's company culture and their lack of innovation. The following are our 3 solutions for Kodak's cultural issues. First, Kodak needs to improve their executive leadership team. From 1983 to 2005, Kodak had 5 different CEOs. Each one of these CEOs brought with them new priorities, but they all still revolved around Kodak's existing core competencies. Kodak needs a leadership team that is willing to take risks and challenge its current complacent culture. Kodak needs to improve their organizational culture by investing more in in-house expertise and differentiation among the company's organizational structure. A lack of organizational agility and expertise can be seen in a number of Kodak's ventures. One in particular is in the printing kiosk. While Fujifilm created their own product, Kodak partnered with another company. This ended up preventing Kodak from competing with Fujifilm. By 2012, Fujifilm held 40% of the printing kiosk market just with their contract with Walmart. Lastly, Kodak needs to instill a sense of urgency, not only among its employees, but the organization as a whole. This is one way to wake up a lethargic and complacent organization. They also need to emphasize the importance of staying in tune to environmental changes. Next, let's discuss 3 solutions for Kodak's lack of innovation. First, Kodak needs to focus on integrating departments, division, and external partners. This would increase the information sharing across the organization. Improving its information sharing would make acquisitions more successful. Next, they need a sound strategic plan to carry them into the future. Eastman developed the first personal camera that used film and was the first to develop color film for motion pictures. Somewhere between the death of Eastman and the discovery of the first digital camera, Kodak lost sight of innovation. They lost the ability to stay ahead of the curve. Lastly, Kodak should invest in potential startups. Kodak could allow young up-and-comers to be innovative and create something new without being emotionally attached. Using an innovative startup would generate new ideas to lead Kodak into the next generation. Next, Ethan Brown will discuss the steps necessary to solve Kodak's issue.
Thanks, Elizabeth. In order to implement the solutions that Elizabeth just discussed, our team has come up with a 6-step action plan. Each action is associated with one solution and goes as follows. Our first step would be to hire a new executive leadership team. Human resources will need to develop a plan to ensure the new team values organizational agility and fosters empowerment at all levels of the organization. To do this, human resources will need to understand what each new job will entail, how current talent might meet those needs, and what new talent might need to be brought in to better meet those needs. After that, a number of selection tools may be used to identify new talent, such as structured interviews and performance tests. The second step in our action plan is to develop a new strategic plan. A new strategic plan starts with establishing a mission. What is the company's purpose? What is its vision? And what is its direction going forward? After the mission is established, a SWOT analysis should be conducted to better understand the strengths and weaknesses the company currently possesses and the opportunities and threats that the external environment poses. Once a SWOT analysis is conducted, the organization will be better able to develop its corporate, business, and functional strategies. Once each of these steps in the planning process are finished, the plan needs to be implemented and then evaluated over time to ensure its success. One of the most important parts of the strategic plan is developing a corporate strategy. For Kodak, this could be investing in new startups that complement both its competencies and bring a diverse set of products to the organization. A fourth step is to restructure the organization to become more organic and highly differentiated. This structure will be comprised of several divisions based on project or product. Human resources will need to develop a plan to meet the needs of the new structure by assessing the organization's current talent and bringing in new talent as needed. This new talent would be highly specialized and create an in-house expertise for the organization. The fifth step in our plan is to increase integration among all levels of the organization. Over time, Kodak's information sharing across departments and external partnerships has proven to be inefficient. This, along with the fact that we're proposing a new highly differentiated organizational structure, will make integration even more important. 2 ways to improve integration for Kodak would include taking a coordination by plan approach, allowing more freedom to its business units, and reducing the necessary information sharing altogether by creating self-contained tasks for employees and units alike. The 6th step in our proposed plan of action is to instill a sense of urgency by both enriching jobs and empowering employees to make them feel more important to the organization. This means that leadership should be sharing the organization's vision and listening to lower-level employees to make them more effective than ever. Once our plan is put into action, we would expect to see significant results. But just to be sure, we've come up with a few ideas to evaluate the plan's success over time. Kisman Jones will be up next to discuss this in more detail.
Thanks, Ethan. The last portion we will be talking about is evaluation. Changing culture and innovation in any company is difficult to achieve, and in Kodak is no different. But we have certain things that we recommend Kodak should have done to test tools and approaches by the early 1990s. Assessment surveys can be used in a variety of ways. We will be looking at a few ways that Kodak could have used these tools to change their business culture. They can use tools to assess employees, customers, and monitor innovation. Assessment survey should have been used to determine if new behaviors designed to promote innovation were taking root among employees. One of these is the make it stick diagnosis, which asks questions such as a member of this organization, I believe that new behaviors will stay even if key leaders involved in the effort leave. They should have been performed every 6 months for the first 18 months to gauge if change is on track. After that, just annually. In-house affinity groups would have been a valuable tool for management in order for them to glean in an informal setting and allow them to model and reinforce desired behaviors. A customer survey was really important before the push towards innovation began. There should have been a survey that year and every year afterwards to find out how customers felt about the innovation of the company. This would have helped in what new products that they offered. A customer focus group would have also been valuable insight for executives to find out at an informal level how customers felt about the innovation of the company as a whole. The third aspect is the monitoring of innovation. Kodak should have actively measured and grown the number of patents generated each year. They also should have measured instances of patents put into use for new products and services, the number of products moving from one stage of development to the next, the amount of revenue generated by these new products, and they needed to be measuring how much time it took from the concept of an invention to the marketplace. They needed to make sure their speed was increasing. In conclusion, while hindsight is 20/20, it seems relatively clear that solutions we have brought up could have helped avoid one of the biggest business calamities of the 21st century so far. Overall, though, it was the company's unwillingness to envision a future without film at its core that led to its downfall. And now that the film photography can't really be the core of any large company, Kodak finds itself after bankruptcy a mere microcosm of its once glorious self, a fading Kodak moment stuck in time.
Good morning. Yesterday, you wake up and time has slipped away, and suddenly it's hard to find the memories you left behind. Remember, do you remember the laughter and the tears, the shadows of misty yesteryears? You get the yearning now and then to bring the moments back again. Remember, will you remember the times of your life?
Kodak film for the times of your life.